Hi guys, welcome to Ask Jessi Kneeland. Our question today is from Kelly in Florida, and she writes, a good friend of mine recently quit her day job to pursue fitness training full-time. As part of that effort, she's now selling workout DVDs and protein shakes online and markets to people who want to change their bodies or get in shape. As a fellow fitness instructor myself, I've also gone through some disordered eating issues in the past, and I'm working hard to change the hypercritical thought pattern I've historically had about my body and nutrition. So I'm in the middle of my own acceptance journey of my body, and I recently realized that I'm triggered by media promoting summer bikini body programs and 21-day fixes. My friend still tries to promote loving oneself, but it's right alongside that exact kind of diet promotions. So I recognize that my triggers are not her problem or responsibility, but I'm having trouble figuring out how I can be supportive of my dear friend in her new career without getting sucked right back into the world that urges me to lose the last 10 pounds that I can so easily get pulled into. This is an awesome question. I hear stuff like this all the time, like how do you handle people who are promoting stuff that blatantly goes against your journey, especially if you're in the fitness or wellness or nutrition world, and especially if you've had any body dysmorphia or body image issues in the past that make it really triggering for you. So I'd say the first thing to do is, instead of asking how do I support my friend while also maintaining myself, I would start by asking how do I maintain myself in this new situation? How do I stay with self-care in the new situation that your friend puts you in? So your friend's stuff is her business, and it might be triggering, but the only thing you can do, or at least the foundational thing that you can really do, is to start by making sure that your needs are met, that you are taking care of yourself as well as you can. And maybe that means unfollowing her. You can totally unfollow people on social media without them knowing. Maybe it means taking a break from the friendship. Maybe it's that extreme of an example, and that would be okay, because it needs to be you taking care of your needs first. It also might mean that you want to talk to your friend, which everybody's relationships in this way are going to be different. But if you decide, yes, this is definitely a friendship worth keeping, I unfollowed her, but I kind of can't, not talk to her ever again because she's my best friend, and I just, we get drinks on Thursdays, and that's just, it's one of the things I look forward to. It's just this new topic I can't stand. In that case, I'd say one of the best boundaries would be asking her for her help in solving this problem with you, asking her if it would be okay if you didn't talk about fitness and nutrition. You could frame this a little bit more generally, I don't want to talk shop, oh, I just don't want to talk about my work, I don't know, at happy hour. Or you could frame it fully, truthfully, and just say, I'm struggling with my body image stuff. Your stuff is triggering to me. I know that that's not your fault. I'm asking for your help to continue this friendship while we move into this new phase where you're a trainer and you sell this stuff. And while I get oriented with that, would it be okay if we just didn't talk about fitness or nutrition? Because any friend worth keeping is going to go, oh, wow, that's okay, sure. Yeah, how can I help? As opposed to someone who's like, what? You just need to listen to me. That person probably doesn't necessarily need any space in your life. So always take care of yourself first. That's always the number one foundational step that I want you to be thinking about. And then after that, if you are talking to your friend, if you are trying to support her, if she asks for your support and you've been honest, you're like, I'm being triggered, and she's like, well, I want your support. Okay, so then what? How do you do that? In that kind of case, if you've decided it's worth it and you want to be supportive, validate her feelings, validate her experience, not what she's actually saying. And as often as possible in life, this is just a good general rule. If somebody's like, I'm so mad that my boss is an asshole, it's a lot more valuable to validate her anger than to validate the fact that her boss is an asshole. Because then later on, if she's like, oh, my boss isn't really an asshole, then she loses the validation that you gave her. It becomes meaningless. Whereas if you validated, wow, I see and feel that you're angry right now, and that makes sense to me. Anybody in a situation as frustrating as this one would probably feel really angry, and that's okay. So if you validate the experience and her how she feels in the middle of it, then it's always truthful, because you can say wow, I really admire how dedicated you are to pursuing this new career choice that you've made, because that could be true. But if you were to say, I really admire all your 21-day cleanses, that would be a blatant lie. It wouldn't feel good to you to do it because it wouldn't be truthful. And it really wouldn't feel that good for her to hear it either, because it would create confusion down the line. At some point, you'd have a big blowout. She'd be like, why were you, saying that stuff? And it probably it won't ring as true for her anyway, if it's not true. And if you just ignore it, if you just say nothing, then she's going to feel attacked. If you're like, she's like, oh, I'm so excited about this 21-day cleanse that I'm doing. It's going really well. And you're like, she's going to feel like you may as well have said, like, screw you. So if you're feeling screw you inside, start by what you can do to take care of yourself. And if that means communicating that with her, then absolutely you must communicate with her as truthfully as you can to take care of your needs. So create those boundaries wherever they need to be created. Ask for her help if she's the kind of friend you can ask for help from to get your needs met. And then beyond that, in order to support her, always support and validate her experience, the things that you truthfully are able to validate. Don't go beyond that because it won't feel good. And just make sure that you're focusing not on the details of the thing, but on the experience and the emotional, the emotional life that she's got going on underneath everything. So instead of validating stuff that you can't, you almost always will be able to find something underneath about who she is, why she's your friend in the first place, that you can support. And you can say, oh man, that sucks that project didn't go well for you, because, I've had projects that didn't go well for me and it felt really bad. So you can connect on that level, but you have to keep the details out of it. You have to be able to step underneath those details and talk about her experience rather than what the actual thing was. Because if the project was like, oh, your bikini-body bootcamp failed, you're like not really too bummed about the fact that there's not more of that in the world, and that's okay. But your friend failed at something and that sucks. You can totally connect to that level. So that would be the moving parts that I would best be able to offer. And it's individual for each person. I had a similar situation with someone who became a trainer, and I did not handle it as gracefully as I would like because he was constantly trying to like connect with me about it. He was like, hey, how all these things we agree on about fitness are true? And I'd be like, no, I don't think that's true. So I felt, like, what do you do in those situations? Sometimes it's really difficult and you have to just ask for a full halt on the relationship, or at least discussing that kind of thing, until you guys can get reoriented to this new information. And I think that's totally fair. Any lasting friendship can handle a little bit of a breather if you need one. Yeah, and that's it, because that's what it is. It's about being really honest about your experience and then validating and connecting to somebody else's experience. It's actually kind of simple when you put it that way, I guess. But best of luck with this. And also, please understand that in the world, there are so many people hawking these cleanses and things that I'm right there with you. This is a very common experience among my tribe of people. And it can be really frustrating because ultimately it comes down to values. The cool thing, though, is that people's values are often very similar, and the way that they're expressing it in the world is the problem, is the conflict. And therefore, education is really kind of the best way. So I'd say right now maybe isn't the best time to educate your friend on what she's doing, but maybe it is. You're the only one who can know. But typically, if somebody's brand new to something, they're also very sure that they're doing it right. So I would say give it a little time. Give it a little time where she can start to learn and she can start to see the effects of things, and she can pick up different pieces of information, different places, and continue an ongoing dialogue with her if that's invited, if that's a part of your relationship. Because that way you've got the ability to go, hey, what is it that you want people to feel? And how do you feel when you see cleanse things? Like, have you ever gotten a bikini boot camp and felt worse about yourself? Like, starting to ask questions and stuff can begin a bit of an education for somebody who's never thought about it. But that's not a guarantee, because some people will go, yeah, I felt great, and I don't know what you're talking about, and maybe you're an idiot. So it's totally up to each individual situation. But trust yourself, take care of yourself first, and then move into the world and see if you can connect based on what you actually share.